Hello! Amy from AdventureBox here, back with some more tips. So let's say that you want to create a Battlefield game. Awesome! An area for multiplayer is bound to get hectic. But you might feel a bit uncertain about how to go about it. Think of multiplayer maps from other games if you played one of those before. What makes people like them? I'm sure I can't speak for every game out there, but if I were to hazard a guess, I'd say it's due to most of these maps having a good balance. And what does that mean exactly? Well, let's go over that today. As usual with these tips videos, they are just that, tips. Advice. A nugget of wisdom or two. Nuggets. Anyway, I can't tell you exactly how to make a Battlefield map, but I can offer some advice and general things to at least consider while you're building your map. And this also doesn't apply to just AdventureBox either. These pointers are applicable to other shooter games as well. Oh, and of course there might be a certain charm to the balance of a map being out of whack. Somebody out there is probably going to find it fun, since fun is a subjective term. But it depends on the execution, and remember that you run the risk of making the fun one-sided. Usually in favor of the overpowered party, but a setup like that could also turn boring for them. If there's no challenge at all, a player might lose interest. Are we on the same page here? Good. Right, back to what we were talking about before. What is balance then? Just like a person standing on a pole, a tightrope, or balancing on a finger, or a complete meal having certain ratios of protein, carbs, or what have you to be considered healthy, for the average person that is, some have more specialized diets, but that's not the point here. A balanced map is all about not giving one side too much of an advantage. Each side or each player has an equal chance of winning the game in the end. Now, depending on the game, this doesn't necessarily mean that every player starts out with the same circumstances. There are games that have different classes, with each class having different weapons and/or abilities. But these abilities or weapons are also usually designed with the overall balance in mind. Everyone has an equal chance of winning, but the tools they are given to achieve victory can vary. Balance isn't about same, it's about equal. Always remember that those 2 points are different. Does that make sense? I hope so. But when it comes to the actual level design, there are some things we can keep in mind. Remember, there are lots of ways of making a Battlefield map, but I'll present what I consider the most important points. The first one is maneuverability. Maneuverability is how players get around. What path or paths are there from point A to point B? A map that's too full of dead ends can be frustrating. If, for example, a player is ganged up on and chased into these dead ends with no chance to escape, it's not very fair, is it? So try to avoid them. Though creating what looks like a dead end, but turns out to have a hidden path or a ledge to reach with a power-up could be interesting. FPS maps are actually mostly designed around circles and eighths, or variations thereof. Ovals and egg shapes also count. You don't need to keep these paths separate from each other either. They can also intersect with each other in different ways. Like this, for example. The shape of an eighth is just two circles that are connected after all. Just the general shape is enough. They don't have to be perfectly round, or even on the same plane. One part of a circle could be on the ground floor, while another could be on the floor above it, connected by a set of stairs or two, or something. Actually, elevation in general helps when designing a map, because it allows for more mobility, and therefore more possibilities for strategy and interesting situations. This goes for the other points on this list too. Next one, landmarks. When a player runs around, planning their next move, they'd probably appreciate some way for them to know approximately where they are without having to stop what they're doing. You never know when an enemy is nearby, and then, pew! Good night, Irene! Back to respawn with you! Landmarks serve that purpose. Aside from adding variety to the map, they also become an easy way for a player to identify their current location. A map can become confusing to navigate if every area looks the same, especially if it's a very large level. Basically, try to not make every area look exactly the same. The landmark doesn't have to be something blatant, mind you. You don't need beacons or bright lights or buildings in all the colors of the rainbow. Even smaller landmarks like a statue or something can help. Next, we have cover. It's a battlefield after all, and when bullets are soaring through the air all around you, it doesn't hurt to have a place where you can be safe for at least a couple of seconds. That's the purpose of cover. It offers temporary protection from enemy fire so that you're not always out in the open. Now remember that the cover should also be balanced. Obviously, cover that doesn't actually offer protection is pretty meaningless, but don't make cover that's too good either, or placed in a spot that's too high up or hard to reach for most players. I mean, cover like that doesn't exactly give anybody an incentive to move away from it, does it? By the way, in case you didn't know, the strategy of remaining in one spot and not moving from it like this is known as camping in some gaming circles. It doesn't entail roasting marshmallows or hot dogs over a fire underneath a starry sky, which we all know is the best part of actual camping. Doing it near a spawn point is known as spawn camping. Oh yeah, speaking of spawn points, place them out with care. Spawn points is where the players enter the game after all, so try to give everyone a fighting chance from the start. Placing them out in a way that gives a player an unfair advantage from the very beginning, or puts a target on the back of one specific player, isn't exactly good balance. Having a spawn point that immediately drops one player into a lava pit and keeps dropping them there upon respawning, it might sound funny and be funny to the people that it's not happening to, but it's probably unfair and frustrating to the person it is happening to. Or maybe they'd also think it's funny, I suppose it depends on their sense of humor, but why risk it? Again, the players don't necessarily have to start out under the same circumstances, but equal circumstances. The terms aren't always interchangeable. Let me put it this way. If one player starts with access to a grenade launcher and you don't want to give that to the other players, what can they start out with to even the odds a little bit? Finally, there's the game design. What do I mean by that? Well, try to keep the gameplay mechanics of the game in mind when you make your map. You'll find that a lot of shooter games, while following similar design philosophies a lot of time, have maps that are designed after the core gameplay of the game. As a result, not every map is going to be applicable to every game, because a lot of them were designed with different features in mind. So, if you have power-ups in your map, try to design it in a way that accommodates them. For example, if your map is walled in, try to make sure that a player equipped with a high jump power-up can't just jump over your walls and escape out of bounds. Like I said, there are many different design philosophies and points of view when it comes to this topic. Indeed, a quick Google search will bring up loads of excellent articles and videos that are worth checking out. But I personally think that these are the most important points, at least to start with. They're not hard-written rules, but good to keep in mind all the same. And that's about it. For further questions, please leave a comment on this video, send us an email or join our Discord server. The link is in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time!